Chicago, make some noise. That was incredible. Give it up for that hilarious episode that we just watched. And thank you very much for not taking photos during that screening. But now, as we said to you earlier, pull those cameras out, pull your smartphones out, because it's time to welcome these gentlemen, our special guests, Bashir Salahuddin, Sultan Salahuddin, Diallo Riddle. Come on up. Pick a seat, any seat.
What's up, Chicago? Nice to see you.
Hello, everyone.
See everybody. I know the song. There you go. What's up? What's up, nerds? Look, Bob.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Southside.
And of course, if you are going to take photos, you're going to post things, make sure you use those handles above our heads, all right?
All right. Nice. What's up, man? What's up, Curtis?
Welcome, gentlemen. Are you excited to be here? Just as excited as
Thrilled
we
to
are?
be here. Been
Yeah.
waiting.
Yeah, man.
Been waiting to
for
come
this
back.
one, yeah.
We've been waiting. I want to know if the anticipation is the same for you guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah?
You know, I think the anticipation is different, right? Because we've been living with these episodes and like editing them over and over. And so like we know them like the back of our hand. And it was interesting to see like what everybody was laughing at, because I can guarantee you when you're not in a room with this many people, you will hear a whole nother set of jokes that like I can tell like nobody heard them today. You know what I mean? But
Absolutely.
like we really work hard to make sure that multiple viewings of the show, you take away something different every time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sultan, do you remember the premiere events back when season 1 came out? I wonder if you can maybe contrast the vibe and the energy back then compared to now.
I would say that it was just as high and just as energetic. Chicago has been standing behind us ever since the show came out, and I just got to say, we love you all for all of your support. Without you, you know, this wouldn't happen. So thank you all very much.
So I'm going to dive right into what we just saw, right?
Oh, yeah.
The premiere
Let's dive.
episode of season 3. I mean, that was hilarious. We saw classic, hilarious Officer Goodnight, you know, falsely believing he had a situation under control.
As usual.
And then you
talk.
juxtaposition that with another classic RTO scene, right? A repo.
Yeah.
The show we know isn't episodic, but for me, it felt like you guys picked up exactly where you left off. Was that the intention at all, Bashir?
Yeah, exactly. I think we are an episodic show. We're not serialized, where we don't sort of have episodes flow into the next.
Right.
We want every episode to kind of stand on its own. So if you're new to the show, you could literally start with season 2, episode 4, or season 1, episode 6. Doesn't really matter. You're gonna get some laughs. But I think this season we really want to spend more time with our main characters and with our recurring characters. So you saw a little more of Goodnight and Turner, kind of seeing their dynamic. And more importantly, you saw more of Simon. You kind of learned that even though he wants to be heartless, he still had to look out for his boy. So we thought that was important. And you know, we told a story that I've never seen. You know, it's like, that's really what our room does, guys. We really try to challenge ourselves to go, has anybody ever done a story about somebody who's got to find bed bugs? And nobody had.
That's right.
Genius, seriously. Well, you know, in order for Southside to strike the nerve that it strikes, Diallo, and to just continue having the impact that it has, I feel like you had to have started out with a really clear intention on what it was going to be. So can you talk about that? Like, what was your intention as show creators?
For this season?
Yeah.
You know, I think what Bashir was just saying, like, I think we wanted to, in season 2, we did a lot of expanding of the Southside universe. You know, we dedicated a whole episode to an ottoman, you know, which is one of my favorite episodes, yeah.
How could we forget?
Great episode.
But what's that? But I do think that this season we did want to, you know, sort of, especially with this episode, remind people that this is the, you know, business model that keeps RTO in business, you know, this sort of like cruel, you know, repossession for the like, it's pretty heartless. And then we also wanted to remind people about, you know, the relationship between Turner and Goodnight. But I think that as you see more episodes this season, there are some episodes where we really just step out the world, you know? Like, there's a whole episode that takes place at Lollapalooza, which I cannot wait for you guys to see.
We saw that in the trailer, and we cannot
Yeah, I
wait.
mean, like, it was funny because I don't think it gives anything away. When Corday did his performance at Lollapalooza, like, a lot of people on social media were like, what, you know, why does man look like a Civil War general? You know what I mean?
and it ties into our episode why he came out looking like that. So, you know, I'm excited for both the small episodes. We have one episode that's very self-contained, primarily takes place almost exclusively around a family having, you know, a meal. You know, and then we've got another episode that feels like Batman, no lie. It feels like Christopher Nolan, The Dark Knight, and that's what we were going for there. So every episode has almost like a different mission.
I'm going to stick with you, Diallo, because you come from a far-away land, way down in Georgia, and you jokingly referred in the past to yourself as the interloper of the.
I'm the one outsider.
We beg to differ, though, because I mean I feel like you blend right in. But talk about what that's been like for you. Has the
let me just say,
been
I
warm?
do consider Chicago my adopted city now. You know what I mean? Like,
Shout out
you know,
to Shout
I really do, and I hope that you'll have me. Because I do feel like, thank you. I think. The wonderful thing about being one of the very few people not from Chicago on this show is that I can sort of point to stuff and ask Bashir, yo, what's with that? And like, because I have the eyes of an outsider, I'm like de Tocqueville. You know, I've come here and I'm seeing things that I know.
You guys know Alexis de Tocqueville, right?
Alexis de Tocqueville? Democracy in America? No, but seriously, like sometimes it takes somebody who's not, you know, from here to sort of like point something, and then he'll see it through all new eyes, and then we'll be like, yo, that's something that's interesting to people who are not from here. You know, because I always say, my family in Atlanta loves the show, my family in Los Angeles loves the show. It doesn't matter if you're from Southwest Atlanta, South Philly, South Bronx, South Central. If you watch South Side, you'll take away a little bit of, you know, what makes the show work. You know what I'm saying? Everybody can relate to it.
I agree. I have family in Toronto that love the show. And
well, there you go.
Never set
Six.
foot in
Shout
Chicago.
out Six.
Yeah, shout out the Six. Shout out to Drake.
Shout out Drizzy.
Drizzy.
Her Loss. Streaming on Spotify right now. Y'all go pick that up.
Sultan, I've seen a bunch of marketing and promos, and they read, you know, in a Chicago state of grind, right? And it really got me thinking. It stuck with me. I feel like there's such attention to detail in this show, and it feels like a nod, especially to the people who live here or who are from here. But what else do you wish that more people understood about Chicago and about Chicagoans?
That's a really good question. I wish that it was evenly displayed in the media, but we all know that that's never going to happen. But I wish that people understood how warm and how friendly and how funny it is here in Chicago. I mean, I grew up on the South Side. I would say, majority of my life, I was either talking about somebody or they were talking about me, and it was all pretty much funny. Y'all know what I mean? I'm talking about random people on the street.
Some of them are here tonight.
Yeah. I remember specifically going to school one early morning when it was snowing, and the snow was up to here, and I had to pull my pants out the dryer, and they froze that way before I got to the corner. And the guy, the paper man, you know, if you're from Chicago, you know the guys that sell the papers in the morning, they have a garbage can with fire out of, see what I'm saying? And so I was standing next to the garbage can, trying to get warm. He was like, damn, your pants gonna freeze like that. And he was right. So
this is definitely a city you gotta be like, before you walk out the house, you gotta be like, what's they gonna say to me today?
Yep.
About this look.
Absolutely.
Because the city is gonna tell you about the look.
Absolutely. So
You guys look great, by the way.
Yes.
Really happy with.
Really do. Shout out to
So many
yourselves.
beautiful
You guys
faces.
look amazing.
And the last thing I want to add to that is just, I think the world doesn't know much about Chicago. I mean, we've all been out of Chicago and been to other places, and when you tell them you're from Chicago, they go, oh, how'd you survive? How'd you make it? And you're like, dude, come on, man. Like, people aren't dying like that. But I think it provides, well, some are, but
Like
it provides an opportunity for people to see the city through another prism, and that's important.
Real spill.
So you are here, Sultan. You're next to your brother, Bashir, as co-creators of this great show.
Yeah.
Bashir, I want you to talk more about this family affair because your wife, your sister, also in the cast, stealing a lot of the scenes, just doing great.
Still in the scene right now.
There she is, right
Well,
over
I'm
there.
up here.
Hey, everybody, it's Stacy.
Stand up, Zuri, stand up.
Stand up. Did y'all hear her?
There she is!
Did y'all hear her cough?
Oh, she wished she had a microphone so bad.
Yeah. Sorry, sauce.
Hi, Stacy.
Not tonight, Stacy.
Hi, Suri.
No, you know what it comes from is
Yeah.
like, well, first off, you know, it's been done before. Many families have ventured in this way. Diallo was on a show with Marlon Wayans, who was
Yes.
a family who
Yep.
really showed how to do it. You know, and Live in Color was so good it beat the Super Bowl one year.
Woo!
Real talk.
Yeah.
So,
Facts.
you know, the bar is high. I think, but more importantly, you know, when you talk to people about who's the funniest people in their life, and some of you are sitting next to them. Some of them are people you went to school with, your cousin, your auntie. And for us, we felt like, you know, we really, as Sultan was saying, we're trying to have the city be redefined more comedically, more joyously, more of the city we know. And so we thought, who better to do that than the actual Chicagoans? A lot of people in here have been, clap if you've been on the show.
See?
Yes.
Okay, that was good.
Clap if you want to be on the show. There you go.
Clap if you're sitting in a chair.
We take,
I won. Thank you.
we do take bribes.
Instagram only.
Hey, make an offer. You never know. So, no, but we wanted to show us. We want to show, you know, we shot
Yes.
here. We didn't.
Yeah.
We did our episode. We didn't go to the art institute. We came here to do something.
That's
But you
right.
know what?
Outside.
But wait,
so, you know.
can I piggyback on your
Sure.
question? Because
Yeah, piggyback the thing.
No,
Oink,
let's
oink.
piggyback it. Because Zuri's in the writer's
up,
room.
Jay?
You know what I mean? Zuri's in the
Yes.
writer. Chandra's in the writer's room.
What's
up?
I think one thing that does not get stated enough, and it's almost, you can't overstate it. The show Southside is what it is specifically because of the constant input of black women. I just want to put that out there.
Oh, I love
Like,
that.
Yeah, black women
no,
are cool.
because this is the thing. I sat back one day, looked at our writers' room. I was like, there are more black women in here than black men. And honestly, seriously, it's not a typical thing, not in Hollywood.
That's right.
And I
Yeah.
just think that their voices, Bashir and I always say, this is no secret. We always say, you know, Chandra will come up with a line of dialogue. Zuri will come up with a story that we would not occur to us just
Yeah.
because of our different
Absolutely.
life experiences. And I feel like that's one of the other reasons why you constantly see
I love that.
stories on this show that you don't see anywhere else.
Yeah, well, I mean, it occurred to me that I wanted to ask how the family dynamic plays out in real life, because I know as creatives, a lot of us, we might envy this setup, right? Because sometimes it's really hard to find support within your family, especially when you're not popping yet, you haven't really made it yet, they don't really get the vision. So I wondered how that felt, just kind of having...
I think you just nailed it. I think because so many of us are related,
Yeah.
we came up together. I think we all understand the stakes. We all understand, hey, this needs to work. Because nobody wants to go back and do that other shit we were doing before this.
That shit was whack.
It's terrible. Don't look backwards. Just keep walking, brother. Keep walking. Walk through the museum, get inspiration, and then keep on walking. And you guys should walk through this museum and learn some things when you get a chance. Shout out to the DuSable Museum. Make some noise for them.
Woo!
Now, what you guys don't know is, I want to answer your question, but my mother, Renee, right here, she used to,
Yes.
Yeah.
I would say,
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom.
I would say
Hi, Mom.
drag us here every
Yes.
weekend like we forgot how to be black. And then we got to listen to every African drummer in the Illinois and every chanter, every piece of kente cloth from the age of like 5 to like 15. We were here. So, but you know, it was
Seats right
nice
there.
when I left this place, I didn't realize how special it was. And that's one of the other things about making sure when we came back, it wouldn't make sense to us to come back here and do a show and then all the cast and all the writers are not Chicagoans.
Yeah.
Most of our cast and the vast majority of our writers are from Chicago and from the South Side, but the West Side also represents, the North Side represents.
That's right.
Make
the
some
whole
noise for
city.
yourself.
Yeah. Sultan, you're #1 on the call sheet. What is that like? Face
Well-
of the show, the star. Any added pressure? Expectations?
First of all, I just want to say I'm honored to be in that position, and I don't take it lightly at all. For any of you out there that aspire to act or want to do anything in television like that, if you ever get on the #1 position, you have a responsibility to lead the team of the people that you're acting with and set the example. In other words, you gotta be the best you can be all the time and be focused, because it is not an easy task. It's funny because my birthday is on the 1st, so I always think about that. I'm like, oh, I'm #1 on the call sheet, my birthday's on the 1st. But I think it was something that, you know, it was up for grabs at one point, and I earned it, and I'm happy to be in that position, and I just want to do the best that I can, blaze a trail for this show. And really, my biggest, most important thing is to make sure that I set an example and work twice as hard as the next guy to make sure that this show is the best that it can possibly be.
Yeah.
Egos aside, all that other stuff doesn't matter. It's about how good can we make this show.
And I'm the
how I
guy
contribute.
standing in his way.
No, actually,
That's right.
no, that's not true. Actually, Bashir has been a great example. Has encouraged me in many, many different ways, and this guy was, you guys know who this is, right? Top Gun, right? So that's my brother. So with that being said, I'm just saying that I'm older, but I look up to my brother when it comes to things like that, and I look up to him to help me become better.
Yeah, I love that. Diallo, you met Bashir at Harvard.
Yes.
That kicked off what's now been this long-time collaboration between the two of you. At one point, you worked as writers for Late Night with Jimmy Fallon before leaving to work on your own project. So I'm curious, what kind of impression did Jimmy leave on you?
Here we go.
Oh, wow. That's not where I thought that question was going to end.
That's why they pay me this medium bucks.
Throw out that old answer. Jimmy, you know what? I'll say this. Not that when we got there we were any kind of slouches, but he took it so seriously. You know what I mean? And I feel like we take what we do very seriously. Anybody who works with us knows that we can be very exacting, and we can be like, oh, that prop is not right, or this lighting does not look the way we envision it. But I think we do everything with great respect for all the artists and geniuses that we work with, some of whom I see here tonight, and that's from the acting to the writing to the editing. Our editing process is very we're still throwing in jokes in the edit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you watch these episodes closely, there are things happening in the background. There's anytime someone's phone is shown, it's probably a joke on there. We really, until they say pencils down, you have to turn in the episode, we are constantly trying to add a few more jokes, because we feel like there are enough shows that are kind of serious and you watch them and you kind of laugh. We want our show to be exactly what we heard here tonight, which is you watch it, you laugh, and then you go to the next episode. You know what I'm saying? So that's really important.
That.
Yeah.
You, though, you've dabbled in a lot of parts of the entertainment industry, right? You've done sketch work, right? Sketch comedy work, web series work, shooting pilots. We talked about Marlon earlier. Of course, Southside. Along the way, you were working with your peers, right? I'm thinking Robin Thede, Nefertari Spencer.
She's here, by the way.
Is she here?
What's up, Neff?
What up?
Hi.
Great work.
And to the
I was
F.
promised we were not going to mention Neff. I was promised.
Again. But I want
Old beef.
I want to know how it
Old
feels.
beef.
Old
We
beef.
got beef going way back.
Well, how does it feel, though, to get to this point in your career and you're continuing to see those you came up with also being successful?
But you know what? I feel like, man, and I don't want to make a really long answer, but I will say this. Our first sketch group, Robin Thede wasn't famous. Wyatt Cenac wasn't famous.
Mm-hmm.
We actually, long story short, we brought them into the group because they made us laugh. And this is some advice I'd give to anybody who wants to do what we do for a living. It's less important to find somebody who's already made it and try and work with them. Just look around you, okay? There are people in this city. No, seriously.
Yeah.
There are people in this city who want to act, they want to be funny, they want to write, somebody wants to direct. Just pool your resources, pool your talent, and do it exactly the way we did. We started off with no money, no fame, and just, and that was back when you had to buy an actual camera to shoot. Nowadays, we all have a movie studio in our pocket.
Right.
Back then, you had to go find the Canon 5D and all that kind of stuff. But the reason we keep working with Nefertari, the reason why, to this day, there are people on this show who we worked with on one episode. They had one line in the show. Is Osiris here? Osiris
There he goes.
came in, did one line on the show. We were like, he's really funny. So when we started writing season 2, she's the most
It's close.
When we were writing season 2, we were like, we got to bring that guy back. And this season, once again, he's all in our Lollapalooza
man.
episode.
Yeah,
I think
that guy.
we try to recognize, talented individuals before they blow up, because for us, that's part of the fun. It's kind of like, oh, that dude is, she's great. She got next. We're going to bring her. We tried to work with Tiffany Haddish before she was, Tiffany Haddish. There's so many people. And sometimes in the past, the studio would step in and they would be like, don't you want to go with somebody famous in that role? But over time, we've learned to trust our instincts to not necessarily go with the biggest name that we can go with for a part. You know, now if a Chance the Rapper shows up in season 2 and does a great episode, let me tell you, he's amazing in season 3.
Yeah.
He does a part, man. I can't wait to try and put his name in for the Emmy for Best Guest Star because he butchers it. Like it's so good. So that's a long-winded way of saying we try to spot talent and give people a chance.
You know, I would also just quickly add to that the snow cone guy in this episode, like you guys know how he got in the episode. I was over my mama's house, and I was like, I was craving some snow cones, you know, because I'm on a health kick. And she said, you know, there's a guy on 80th and 81st who just like sells snow cones right on Vincennes. I was like, all right, bet. And he made me laugh. He didn't know who I was, just made me laugh the whole time. And a week later, one of our scouts went over to talk to him, and there you go, that's him. So I think for us, it's like,
Yeah.
the point I'm making is like we just love the city to speak for itself. Season 1, there was a bus driver who made us laugh. He's in the episode. There are other people, even across the other shows we've done, who just we run into and go, "You're really funny."
There was a guy who was he was working at Walmart one day when I was hungover. Because I went to Walmart to get the fried chicken. It's a long story, but
Walmart's fried chicken.
but the dude started.
Hey,
That WKFC.
I was in Las Vegas. Okay,
if this don't work out, you can do Walmart.
Not
fried chicken
important.
commercials.
The guy behind the counter made me laugh, and I was like, young man, and he's older dude. I was like, young man, if I can ever put you in something, I will. I think that, and now he plays Reynard, the security guard on Sherman Showcase. You know, that's how I met Reynard. So I just think, we're always looking. We're always looking for some fun players to play with.
You know, really, really quickly, I think that just comes from the fact that we always felt like nobody really would give us a break, and we felt like we spent years and years in Hollywood being like, "What's up, Hollywood?" Hollywood was like, "Nah, I don't think so."
Like, nah, we're going with.
Yeah, do your research. Be funny. And when we kind of just did our own thing, we kept hacking away at it, and so now if there's somebody who we enjoy, we don't play that game. It's like, yo, we like you. Let's do something. Yeah.
Sultan, you shared on your social media a few weeks ago, you were hyping everybody up, telling them that season 3 was coming, and I saw your followers were clearly excited. Yeah. And the one thing, if I scroll through the comments, the one thing that I kept seeing come up was people referring to the show as a classic. Oh, the show's such a classic. It's such a classic. I was thinking about the fact that, multiple days last week I woke up and I turned on Martin at 7:30 in the morning. Right. Classic. Right. So was that the intention there? Do you agree? Is Southside a classic? Is it going to be a classic?
Resoundingly, yes. I think it's a very special and an anointed show for many, many reasons that you cannot see and that you see on the screen. I also think that it's in the DNA of the show, and the reason I say that is because we've been through the eye of a needle several times. We switched from Comedy Central to HBO Max. A lot of shows make that jump and they don't last. Then, before season 2 kicked off, we had the pandemic. We were on the shelf for 2 years, and we still continued. And now we're here seeing season 3, which is coming out Thursday. It's a classic. I don't know how else to. Plus, I think that the fans of the show, like we now have, even during season 2, I started to notice we have diehard fans. I see some of the same people who keep coming back, and they bring for us. And let me tell you, if I can, what a lot of people tell me when they see me in the street or when they're talking about our show. 3 things actually happen. Thing number 1, they start smiling with their eyes. Thing number 2, they start smiling with their mouth. And then the next thing they say is, "Man, I've been binge watching that." So I'm like, "Oh, really? I thought you was gonna say you like one thing." It's like, no. I've been watching seasons 1 and 2, and I'm waiting for 3. So I think the proof's in the pudding.
Yeah, people go back and binge, in time for the. I did that. Who else did that?
Yep.
I went back and.
See?
Yeah.
I had friends hit me and say, "I'm been watching 1 and 2
You want to refresh your memory? There's parts that you might have missed the first time. This episode. To prepare for this, I've now seen it 4 times, but I was cracking up over there. Like I was embarrassingly, laughing so hard.
Love it.
I want to talk about some of the hurdles, right? You jokingly, Bashir, we're talking about Hollywood execs and the no's that come in this business.
True.
True.
Woody-doo, woody-doo.
you know, sometimes I just,
Scenario 4, you can raise more.
Whole new show, concert.
I
Just
can't.
kidding. Just kidding.
But as creatives, I feel like sometimes we go through this hurdle, this tension of what we're doing is not enough, right? What we're putting out is not enough. Is our output enough? And so what does your toolbox look like? And I would love to hear from all three of you. And when I say that, I mean, for me, it's constantly reminding myself that what I'm doing is affecting people, right? It's changing somebody. It's affecting someone positively in some way. And it's okay to pace myself regardless of whatever else is going around and how fast other creatives are putting things out. So what, for you, sort of helps you to know that what you're doing and what you're creating at any given moment is enough?
Every year of my career, every year of my beginning, there's always something that happened that was like, oh, you should keep going. And I was like, look, I'm not pie in the sky. I was like, if this shit ain't working, I'm going to go back to what I was doing before this and then, try and get paid to be like, I don't know, like a lawyer or something. It's a terrible decision. If there's any lawyers in the house, don't clap. But I was going to say that every year there was something, and every time, even when Diallo and I were really struggling, we put up a sketch comedy show, and it sold out immediately, and we sold out 6 weeks in a row just doing a random sketch comedy show, like on Melrose, a small theater. Actually, no, we had the big theater, now that I think about it. So there was always something that said, like, you should keep going. And so even as we get to, here's the irony, is that as you're coming up and doing stuff, it's difficult, but the higher you get, it actually gets more difficult, which I did not expect. It's actually way harder the higher you get. The deeper you are in your career, especially entertainment, the more difficult, the more voices, the more different forces are at play. Oh, you got to do this, you got to work with this person. Yeah. Oh, we don't want to do that. Oh, that's
more
too
money,
much money.
More problems.
More money, more, exactly. So, it'd be good to have more money. Because I got more problems. But
pay for some of those problems to go away.
I would say. But I think that's what it comes down to, is I was always passionate about this work. I had these folks with me, and there was always a sign that we should keep going. And here we are. I'm so proud that we got to show this to you guys, because I think let me tell you this, I think we really understand what it's like to not be able to do this. I think we understand what it means. You guys know how it feels to give your entire day to somebody else's agenda, to somebody else's point of view, to prop up somebody else's business, to put money in somebody else's pocket. In fact, one of the things I love the most about Chicago is most of the people, and I bet everybody in this room has a side hustle that, oh, baby, when it takes off.
Oh, yeah.
And that's one of the things that is important to us in our city, because I think we're dreamers and we're folks who really aren't comfortable and happy with like a terrible 9 to 5. It's like, no, this life is precious. How can I spend it in a way that is meaningful? That really matters to us. So every moment when all those headwinds come, we just keep marching forward, and we're going to just keep marching forward, and we're going to keep going, and we're going to look up, and then we're going to celebrate.
That's what's up.
Yeah, Diallo, what do you say, piggybacking off of that, what do you say to people watching us right now? They might be struggling to sort of figure out their why, their purpose for pursuing something. What do you offer?
I think, for me, the impact is sort of what keeps me going. I like to see, like, when you guys were laughing at the episode, that means more to me than anything else. It's just like you allowed me and we and the people in here to be a part of your day and to bring some joy into your life. And I think that whenever I take a step back and I think, well, what happened to the guy who thought he was just going to be a funny stockbroker one day? Because that was me in freshman year of college. I was like, I'll be the funniest guy at the stockbrokerage, because I'm from a poor family. So, when you go to Harvard, like, you're supposed to come out a millionaire. Like, you're supposed to get a diploma and a check for $1 million. I'm telling my family.
That's what they tell you.
Tell my family, hey, you know what? I want to be an artist like Dad. And they're like, oh, gosh, it's genetic. But, I mean, on top of just having some impact and spreading some love, we do, look, our number one priority is being funny, but we do have things that we want to say about the world, the same way that Sultan was just saying that, Chicago was getting, used like a political football and demagogued. You know what I'm saying? Like, We wanted to put an end to that. We wanted to, because when you talk to people from Chicago, they're not like, oh God, I'm so happy I'm not in Chicago. I escaped with my life. Like, that's not what the people say.
Right.
People are like, I can't wait to get back to Chicago. I love home.
That's true.
And I think that's what this show is. It's a love letter to Chicago.
Yeah.
You know what it is?
Yes. Speaking of love, Sultan, I love what you're doing. Your organization, Lane 44.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
are exposing more and more young people to this craft, right?
Absolutely.
Folks on the south side of Chicago, you're exposing them to the world of film and video.
Yes.
Why is paying it forward important to you?
Well, it's very important to me because growing up in that community, it's been the same since I've been a kid there. And one of the things that are important is a lot of people want to take you out of your environment to show you an opportunity, but no one's coming to the environment, especially individuals like myself who have been fortunate enough to be part of this, coming back and saying, hey, you can do this too. Let me give you an opportunity so that you can see if it's something you like and broaden your horizons. And it all started in season 1 when I was sitting in my chair on the sidewalk, on location, on the south side. And I think we were like on 83rd and Cottage Grove or something like that. Was just sitting out there. And about 3 kids came up to me and just started riding me. And then they started talking to me. Yeah, they had jokes. But they kept asking very inquisitive questions. And that spoke to my heartstrings. And I was like, I want to be able to do something where there's an opportunity for them to grow in their own environment and not even talk about the financial stimulus that would bring to the community, but also just give them an opportunity that I wish I would have had if that was me in that age. Because, we're from that neighborhood. We're all from different neighborhoods. And can you imagine what it would be like if you had the opportunity of a lifetime or the opportunity of something you're interested in right outside your front door? So, yeah, that's the real motivation for me.
Pretty incredible.
It's great work.
You shared with me, Bashir, and we talked months ago when you were promoting the Top Gun movie. Great job in that, by the way. You said, I want to start my own entertainment company eventually, right? So what are you taking from this journey to prepare you for that?
Hopefully everybody in this room.
Yes.
We've been talking a lot about how we deepen our relationship more permanently with the city. We want to do it smartly, but it's very important that it happen. I do think Chicago. I'm almost like a little nervous because I really feel like Chicago has really untapped talent, and especially the South Side. I'm kind of like really hoping that like nobody else notices that for a while, even though I know our show kind of does it. But I don't think they notice it. But again, whenever we do like auditions or even like just go to dinner, there's so many personalities, so many voices, and I do feel like, the Chicago that I know and love is very comfortable with performance. Is very comfortable on stage and in front of the camera, and very comfortable with ideas that are atypical, especially the young folks. There's so many great ideas, and it's like, how do we put fuel on that fire and also do something that allows us to be around these types of folks and be around these types of creators? Because I
Where
do feel
think that
like,
comes from? That comfort.
The comfort that we feel?
Yeah.
I think it's inherent to the nature of this place. I always feel like Chicago is a very small town in a big city. I feel like it's a place where, one of my boys was always like, if you go to somebody's house Thanksgiving, you're going to come out with a new family and a plate. And this is true. And that's how we do things here. And so, again, obviously, without mentioning the challenges, we all know there's challenges in this city. There's no reason to even bring it up. The other TV shows cover it ad nauseum. You can get all the...
They do a good job.
All the shaky, crying Jamal speeches you want. All the... Put the gun down, Tyrone. All that's there for you guys.
It ain't worth it. It ain't worth it.
And you know what? It's not worth it. But that's on other shows. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a good time and we're going to be joyful. And I think that's something that we want to do more of, and we want to do more of it here in Chicago.
Yeah. All right. So before we have a little more fun, I want to hear from all 3 of you. Tell us about how your character is going to grow this season. You first, Alderman.
Oh, well, Alderman Gale.
Alderman.
What can be said about that guy? Well, I was going to say, we're an episodic show, but if you pay kind of close attention, in season 1, he was a public defender. Season 2, he ran for alderman and made it, even though Bethune got a better job. Alderman Gale did okay.
Second best.
This season, I don't want to give too much away. And, in the trailer, in the first version of the trailer, there was like a shot of Gail doing something, and I was like, no, take that out. I want people to see that for the first time in the episode. I think being an alderman is not what he expected.
Yeah.
All right.
And I think he might be getting bored and looking for a way to keep the things about being an alderman that he likes, but lose the work part of it.
Ah.
So with that said, there's a very special episode. The director is here.
Brittany Boardman, make some noise.
There's a very special episode coming up, and I think any fan of Alderman Gale will enjoy it.
Awesome. Simon,
Oh, yes, ma'am.
so what can we expect?
How does the character grow? And I think the audience will be able to see some more into Simon's life and some of the connections that he has, as well as some of his passions that haven't been explored before. Not without giving too much away, I think we're going to see his love for old shoot-'em-up films, crazy guys in it, and as well as his ability to embrace Kwanzaa. So.
That's right.
Surprise!
There will be Kwanzaa.
This season we have a
In
really
season
special
3.
Kwanzaa episode, which I'm
Yeah, we
really
do.
proud of.
Yeah, we do.
It's like our holiday special, and it's like nothing you've ever seen. It's episode 5.
And proudly, we do not use Kwanzaa like just some like
right.
punchline. Like,
right.
no, we get into the principles of Kwanzaa.
Okay.
You're going to learn something today.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, edutainment is the word that is.
All right, Officer.
Thank you,
good night.
KRS-One.
I think Sultan nailed it. I mean, I want folks to see more, but I got to, because we're an episodic show, you don't, trust me, we don't want the characters to evolve because then the show changes. So you don't want Goodnight to suddenly not be a dick and suddenly, no, I want him to get worse. I want him to go backwards in season 3. It's like he was bad and now he's really bad.
He's
because
already
I
on
think,
track.
ultimately when you're in episodic comedy, you're like somebody's meal. They come expecting a certain thing, right? And you have to feed them the thing they're coming for. One of my least favorite things in television is really a lazy writer thing. Every TV show has done it, where you come to the episode and now everybody's a different character in that episode, right? Oh, it's a dream sequence, and now this person's Robin Hood, and this person is Maid Marian, and I'm talking about Star Trek. Anybody? No.
No.
So, but the point is, one person. There you go.
I like Star Trek.
Shout out, Next Generation. No, we want you to know what you're getting when you come. You got to come see Simon be too smart for his environment. You got to see Gail doing anything he can to get over, and you got to see Goodnight being totally loud and totally wrong.
Yes.
And we're going to try to push that much further, and I think you guys are going to love it.
All right, so before I open it up to audience questions, we're going to do something fun. We're going to play a little game, shall we? You guys up for that?
Sure.
I was told no
Sasha-Ann
games.
Simons.
We worked that out. It's part
Absolutely.
of the
Where
budget.
is
Part
it
of the
under-
budget. Take one of these, pass it down, please.
Yes.
We're going to play Never Have I Ever. Don't look too close at the arts and crafts there. I did that.
All my answers are
You
this right now.
did not know.
Glue stick not included.
There we go.
All right, folks. Everybody knows how Never Have I Ever works, right? Okay. All right. Never have I ever woke up in a strange place without remembering how I got there. Keep it up.
Multiple times.
Isn't drinking involved in this game?
There was a life before Southside I wish not to discuss.
I mean, the story is yours to share, Alderman.
We got to tell the story?
No.
You just said one thing. You didn't say all that.
Not doing this.
Never have ever killed somebody. Okay, Diallo, what happened?
All right. Never have I ever been in handcuffs.
Are you kidding me?
What are we gaining from this?
We're learning more about you.
There needed to be a hard-hitting portion of this Q&A.
Never have I ever returned something to a store after wearing it.
That one's easy.
Never have I ever drunk dialed an ex.
What'd you say? Say that again.
Drunk
Drunk
dialed
an
an ex.
ex.
I'm sorry. I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Drunk dialed an ex.
Oh. Nah.
I have. He said,
Nah.
oh, I have never.
I don't do that.
Never have I ever
cool.
used my fame to get me out of trouble.
I wish. Nah.
Not famous enough yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Not yet.
It should be like,
But I can't wait for that story when it does happen. Never have I ever gotten a tattoo that I regret. Now, you got a lot of tattoos.
I love all my tattoos. They're
You do?
great.
Yeah.
I don't regret. Well,
You got a lot of tattoos.
the ones that are covered up, I regret those, but they're new now, so it doesn't count.
Never have I ever snooped through my significant other's phone without them knowing.
Hell no. You don't want to go through your woman's phone? Oh my God, no. Let me tell you something. If you're in a relationship, stay out them phones. Mind your damn business. You don't want to find, just. Well.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
We'll talk later.
You may want to change your code.
Never have I ever passed gas on set and blamed it on someone else.
I didn't blame nobody
You had
else.
to think about it. You just did it.
Yeah, what?
We claim it.
I'm also uncomfortable right now.
That's okay.
I'm punishing me.
Never have I ever said a baby was cute when it was obviously ugly.
Adorable. Just adorable.
Diallo, we need a response. Okay.
Just think if he ever said my kids were cute.
All right, never have I ever told a lie to get a job.
Let me tell you something. This is,
We all work
now,
resumes
I know this
before.
is a very high-class
entire
individual
side was
over
like-
here. If you have a chance for a job you want, lie. You can learn that shit on the job.
Oh,
Especially on your resume.
Lie.
I remember on,
Yeah.
Yes.
my
I know
first
it really
actor
well.
resume.
I'm sorry. I know
Story.
Microsoft Suite.
Now,
All day.
All that shit.
now
took you out a
Diallo's
day to
got
learn
a
it.
story. What's the story?
My first actor resume, I put horseback riding.
Nice.
Because I figured, look, I have done it. And if, the character, I wanted to be in a Western. So, figured if I got it, then I'd just, go up to Griffith Park and, try my best.
All right, back to the hard-hitting questions this time
Yes.
from our audience.
All right.
Chloe's got y'all.
I'm sitting next to a young lady from the West Side. And I gotta ask, for you guys,
Sure.
Uncle Remus or Harold's, what are we talking?
I would never walk into an establishment called Uncle Remus.
Y'all got that chicken? No, we go to Hal's, dog.
And I'm ashamed of you for walking in that doorway and then eating fried chicken. Come on. That seemed okay to you. I've never had Remus, but I'm open to it if anybody wants to.
It's Harold's for me, sir.
By the way,
Harold's.
can I just say shout out to the West Side? We love the West
Without
Side.
the doubt. Yeah.
My mother's from the West Side.
Yes, she is.
A lot of black people are from the West Side.
Our spankings came from the West
And they
Side.
came to the South Side.
I ain't never had a South Side spanking. I got my ass whooped from the West Side every time. I learned my lesson.
West Side whooping.
So I've always wanted to ask y'all this question. I'm over here on the other corner, bro. Nope, other way. Other way.
Hey, the other
good.
corner. Okay, yes, sir.
Is that to my right or left? Because I can't
Over
see
there,
anything,
over there.
sir.
When Officer Turner is talking to one of her tenants, right? And I believe the actress who plays the older woman is here. I saw her walk
That's
in.
right.
She drops.
Shout out.
Renee Lockett,
Shout out.
everybody.
Miss Dorothy Brown.
Make some noise.
Yeah.
She drops what I believe to be one of the greatest lines of black comedy of all time
Yes.
about Coretta Scott King, right? And I've always wanted to know how that line came about. What was the craft? Because it just felt like
we
such a
usually
perfect thing.
We usually don't give. I'm really proud that we never give attribution on this show. That we never go like, oh, I wrote this or I wrote that, because I think we really like to share the joy. But I will give credit to that line to Langston Kerman. He's originally from Harvey. He's on the show The Boys. He's also on Southside. He was Diallo's opponent in episode 3 last season, playing the Alderman. And we were sitting around, and I think to be fair to your question, we were nervous about the joke because we laughed at it, and then we were like, oh, we can't do that. And then we realized we're the only ones stopping us. But then what really sold it was we looked around the room, and it was all black people. And we were all like, okay, you know what? this is coming from us. And I think that joke, I'll just say really quickly, it actually, I think, makes Dorothy look a little more bad than what she says because she's basically a hater of somebody who was really popular.
Yeah.
Like, she didn't like the popular person. Right. And I think that's one of the things that underpins it.
Yeah.
You know, I'll just put this out there.
Very funny comment.
This is bringing you behind the door a little bit because I, in particular, was fighting that line. I fought it. This is Bashir knows this. I fought it because I grew up in Atlanta. Like, just the juxtaposition of her name and the word that followed it, it made me uncomfortable. That's just being real. I will say, whenever people bring up that line, they love that line, and I think, without getting too deep here, it's a really interesting moment in my life in terms of my career because, on the one hand, we do this comedy with a room that's primarily black and a black cast, and we I don't know what the demographics are for people who watch the show, but I always like to think of like black people watching our show and laughing at it. But as a creator of comedy, there are times when I do think, shit, that's gonna be out there for everybody to see. Like, everybody's gonna see that shit. And I don't know if I want certain people laughing at that joke. And by the way, I'm the person on social media, so they came at me, which was really funny to me. But I will say this, Bashir fought for that line. He got it in the show. And now it is really like Questlove. A lot of people have come up to me and told me that is one of their favorite lines in the show. I think you were right.
And I didn't have to fight that hard, by the way.
I loved the line right off the rip. I was like, oh, that is right up my alley. So, because, growing up in Chicago, I hear that kind of language ever since I was like
Exactly.
5. Aunties, uncles, all that. That wasn't nothing new to me. I didn't feel anything but joy, so.
Same.
You know what, just to close that part of the
Close
conversation.
that loop, yeah.
No, I want to say it. I think that, we have characters who, not actually on Southside, ironic, but Bashir and I would write a character who kills somebody. Doesn't mean that we would kill somebody. And I think that is Dorothy speaking her opinion on the matter. Does that make sense? So even though some people might hate it, some people might love it, it's true to that character, and I think it's always most important to write what is true to the character.
I mean, she was just as ornery in season 2. She brought the pain then, so we're consistent.
All right, question. Over here to your right, fellas.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, so being that you moved from one studio to now HBO Max, what are some of the changes that have happened, and is it better for you financially?
Well,
is there more creative control?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that one of the really nice things about HBO Max, and I'm not even just saying this because they're in the building, I say this all the time, they have never stopped an idea from happening because they didn't understand it. If anything, they'll ask a question. But we've definitely been in those rooms where, like, we had something in a script and an executive who's very much not from the South Side of Chicago, let's just put it like that, will be like, is that grounded? Is that really a thing? Like, where's that coming from? And you're just like, oh my God, you can't be funny and be explaining it. That's why one thing you'll notice about our show, we make a joke, we use an obscure reference, and we just keep it going. We don't stop, you know what I'm saying, and explain where we're coming from because we know that there are people like you who know where we're coming from. And I think that that's the best thing about HBO Max is that they've let us create. You know what I mean? That's what I'd say about that.
Good deal.
I have a question for.
Let's go. Yes, please ask your question, yes.
You have the microphone now.
I have a
They're
question for
arguing.
Officer Goodnight. I want to know what is your for real favorite gossip song and not 1,000 horses.
Gospel.
Not 1,000 horses, please.
See, you were so eager to ask that question and you tripped
I
over.
wanted to know because it takes 1,000 horses.
My favorite,
10,000 horses.
1,000 horses is like my favorite. Let me tell you what, people you know what I love right now is that song has actually been doing some numbers on TikTok lately. I'm pretty happy about that. Yeah. Well, some really young folks. So, my favorite gospel song in real life, well, good question that you asked me because I was raised Muslim. My favorite gospel song is probably who sings "Never Would Have Made It"? Who's that? Is that Marvin Sapp? I love that song. I love everything about that song, and I might listen to it when I leave here tonight. It's so good. It's so good.
Not the remix. Right?
Also being raised in a
remix?
Muslim household, my favorite gospel song is Jesus on the Main Line. I heard that once while I was getting a West Side ass whooping.
You've got a hand
Pat,
right up
can
here.
we give this young
Hand
man a
right here.
microphone?
You want me to go?
He's
Yeah.
been waiting so long.
What's some advice you would give youth to help motivate us? Because social media is kind of based on stealing people's ideas or stealing people's sounds and videos. What's some advice to to keep being ourselves and create new content instead of just using old content that someone else created?
Originality.
I think I'm going to repeat something that Diallo already said, because I always say this when people, especially young folks, ask us about some steps that they should be taking. I really think you got to invest in your peers. One of the best pieces of advice I ever got was from a playwright named Paula Vogel, and she said, circles rise together.
That's right.
And when you do this, when you reach out laterally and not up or down, because I feel like I spent most of my career trying to get somebody to help me. Like, come on, I just want a mentor. I just want one celebrity to just be like, oh yeah, you funny, man. And it literally never happened. Right. What happened was me and this guy, and then me and him, and this guy and my brother Ismael, we put our heads together, we did our own thing. Right. You gotta always do your own thing. Now, specifically in terms of putting different media together to make new media, I think that's as old as media itself. But I would say the one thing that will help you is to make sure your personal bar is very high. So in the Southside room, if you want an idea to die, pitch something out that somebody else has seen before. And I promise you, it'll be dead in the next 10 minutes. Yeah. There's so much content out there. It doesn't mean you should feel intimidated. It means you should feel like, well, the bar's really high. And for me to sort of cut through all this clutter, I really got to push myself and say, what is nobody else doing right now? And I think if you think about what's nobody else is doing, and you also think about who are my peers who are really about it, who's really trying to make a change, who's really not trying to go out tonight, doesn't want to go party, wants to go sit in some terrible little edit bay that somebody has set up in their bedroom closet and cut this thing for 10 hours. Yeah. I think those are the people you should be around, because they're as hungry as you are, and that's what you really need, is hungry people around you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Some great advice. So we got a couple more minutes before we have to let these guys go. Do we have more hands?
Can I add on to that really quickly? Just real quick. One last
sure.
thing.
We should take this question too. Then.
Absolutely.
Yes.
The last thing to add on what he said, you got to be willing to do the work.
Yes. I second that.
All right, can we...
we
bring-
actually have one in the back that's been waiting a while.
Yeah, let's do it.
Hi, I'm over here. Right here in the center.
I'm over here.
Oh, hi guys, over here. What's up? I just want to say I love the show. It's so
Thank
Chicago. And yes, like he was saying, it reminds me of my family members, my mom, my uncles, aunts. All the cursing doesn't bother me. I'm used to it. And I see that a lot of people have been on the show. How can I get on the show?
I was waiting for that question.
Well, if we get another season, if you would like to be on Southside, you should send your headshot and resume to Pascal Rudnicki Casting. Or is it Rudnicki Pascal Casting? It's one of those two combinations. And we actually do tend to look at everything. So
we
you will
watch
get a fair
almost
shot.
every audition.
You will get a fair shot.
Yep.
Do the work.
Yes.
Did you have a question?
Do we have the mic down
You can probably just
Yeah,
yell it out.
right
We can
here.
hear you.
Yes.
We want the audience to hear, I suppose.
Shout out to the ticket winners. Are some of y'all the ticket winners? Yeah, right on. Right on.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for coming.
I just want to say that you guys do inspire me a lot. I do have a production company that I'm doing with my peers here in Chicago. And just to hear that, because I felt like I wanted to give up and stop like a couple days ago. So I wasn't going to even come. But I did, something told me to come, and I just listening to you guys, it just got me to keep going and pushing forward. I just want to say that.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Look at that.
Don't stop and keep doing the work. That's how you get there.
So I'm seeing more hands up at the top. Couple more minutes.
Microphone lady, you got to run. We only got 2 minutes.
Are the lights slowly coming up?
Oh, we get to see y'all.
That's the DuSable's way of saying we got to get out of here.
DuSable's basically playing us off.
It's been fun, y'all. It's been fun. We do close. And
How y'all doing?
Doing well. Thanks for asking.
Yes, sir. Any advice for any writers that's ready to get into the industry?
Yes, make something. What I mean specifically is it's much easier for Hollywood to watch something than to read something. Nobody, I'm being honest with you, nobody really wants to get like a 120-page script and like nobody wants to read that.
Well, I think, what I don't know what you're writing, but if you write, let's say, an episode of a TV show, or find the 5 pages of that thing. The lights are definitely coming on.
Yeah.
Find the 5 pages of it you can shoot. So maybe don't try to shoot the boat chase or the helicopter scene. Just maybe it's that 5 pages of like your characters sitting around the table or something like that. But try and shoot that. Here's what's crazy. Even when you're at our level, we still would prefer to take the script money and shoot a proof of concept reel. And anybody who knows what that is, that's when you go out and you get some people that you know and you shoot something. We had to do that on Southside. We did that on Sherman Showcase. We're trying to do it on one of our upcoming projects right now. It's basically, because what you'll do is when you shoot it yourself, you won't have to convince somebody how to read it. Does that make sense? They'll be able to see it, they'll be able to hear it, and they'll be able to know whether it's their cup of tea. So that would be our advice is, find like 5 pages. That'll work out to be about 5 minutes, and just do your best on that. I think that's the best way in.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, I think we're squeezing one last question in.
I don't know. Let's see how bright these lights can get.
Despite the bright lights.
Can we turn the lights higher, please?
Turn on the lights.
It's not bright enough.
Like, hit him again.
I'm gonna make this quick then. I've got my 14-year-old son watching this show, and he loves it. And he'll kill me if I don't ask this question. Do you watch anime, and if so, what is your favorite one?
Oh, what a great question. I love anime.
And we were into it before everybody got into it. Yeah. I think it's hilarious how now everybody's into anime. But it's cool. Everybody can come on in. What's your favorite?
I'm blanking on like my all-time favorite because it's also kind of old. My all-time favorite is probably Ninja Scroll.
Oh, that was mine.
I will say, One Punch Man is pretty damn great. I'm gonna go One Punch Man.
Well, I'm gonna go with my second favorite. It's Akira.
Of the recent stuff,
like
One
Attack on
Punch
Titan too,
and Naruto are great. But I want to go way back and go to one that might have the Macross saga. I grew up with that. It was called Robotech here, but if you go back and watch the original Japanese version, it's quite deep and quite good. Also, Star Blazers. I wish somebody would make a live action version of that.
Well, on that note, we're going to wrap it here. Diallo, Riddle, Sultan, Salahuddin, Bashir
Thank you very
Salahuddin.
much, guys.
Thank you for coming out.
It's been our pleasure.
Tune in on Thursday, folks. Thank you for coming out. We appreciate you.